Namaskar. Today I am going to discuss on an important chapter of Indian history, that is the constitutional and administrative developments, where our present constitution has been adopted after going so many acts, bills, enactment happened in British Parliament. Before it was no uniform rules and regulation for India. After consolidation of British territory in India by the British authority, they enacted so many acts for smooth concerning of Indian territories. In this connection, today I am going to discuss the first act that has been enacted in British Parliament in 1773, which is known as Regulating Act 1773. This act passed in British Parliament in 1773. The East India Company was in dire financial straits. It was a monopoly trading company in India. The company paid huge money annually to the government to maintain the monopoly, but had been unable to meet its commitment since 1768. The East India Company owed money to both the Bank of England and the government. It had 15 million or 6.8 millions of tea roti in British warehouse and more en route from India. Lord North, the then Prime Minister of England, decided to overhaul the management of East India Company with the Regulating Act. This was the first step to the eventual government control of India. This act set up a system whereby it supervised or regulated the work of the East India Company. The company had taken over large areas of India for trading purposes and had an army to protect its interests. Company men were not trained to govern, so Lord North's government began moves towards government control, since India was of national importance. Shareholders in the company opposed the act. The East India Company was still a powerful lobbying group in Parliament in spite of its financial problems. Now, what are the provisions there in Regulating Act of 1773? First, the Act limited company dividends to 6% until it repaid the loan and restricted the court of directors to 4-year terms. It prohibited the servants of company from engaging in any private trade or accepting presents or bribes from the natives. The Act elevated Governor of Bengal, Warren Hastings, to Governor General of Bengal and subsumed the presidencies of Madras and Bombay under Bengal's control, laid the foundations for a centralized administration in India. Governor of Bengal became the Governor General of Bengal within an executive council of 4 to assist him. Decisions would be taken by majority and Governor General could only vote in case of tie. The Act named 4 additional men to serve with the Governor General on the Supreme Court Council of Bengal: Lieutenant General John Clavering, George Monsoon, Richard Barwell, and Philip Francis. Now see what are the criticism of this Regulating Act 1773. A serious defect of the Regulating Act was that it did not define clearly the exact jurisdiction and powers of the Governor General. This Regulating Act 1773 did not specify as to which law was to be applied by the Supreme Court. There were Hindu, Mohammedan, Christian, and British laws. The Regulating Act did not clearly define who were the servants of the English East India Company. The Act made the position of Governor General very weak. The raising of the qualification of the voters from £500 to £1,000 converted the Court of Directors into an oligarchy. The control of Bengal over Madras and Bombay was not effective. This is some of the criticisms. As already we have discussed the provisions and objectives and defects of this Regulating Act 1773. This is the first act that has been enacted by British Parliament to regulate the East India Company in connection to govern India territories. Thank you.